Okay, let the record show we came out of executive session at 9:20. And what do we say to Rose?
Oh, no action was taken during executive session.
Okay, Bill? All right. That brings us to the financials.
Rick, did you want me to?
I'll let you give it, Rose.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to talk. Go ahead.
No problem. So there's not, I mean, there's more activity, I guess, than normal, but that's not saying too much. So there's revenue for this month and we're on the accrual basis. So the $36,000 that's here is for the annual fees that were billed out for January 1st, and that's for all of our projects. And remember, the range for an annual fee is between $500 and $1,500, depending on the size of the project. We've been receiving money in, and I will be circling with Mike on having a governance committee meeting shortly to go over annual reporting issues, etc., and also people that may or may not be paying those invoices on time. The staff fees are high for the month of January, but no different than other Januaries. I look back and I think it was about the same last January. January, February, and March are typically high because of the annual reporting coming in, going out, and all of the extra things that we have going on in the first part of the year. There was the live stream expense for January, the Zoom expense, and then $225 on here was for the EDC conference that'll be on February 28th that both Diane and I will be attending, as well as a very sad amount of interest income. The bank balances are not too different on page 14. I did move money. It's not reflected here because it happened in February. I did move $200,000 out of the M&T checking account to the Bank of Greene County checking account. As you all remember, the interest rate is slightly, although not much, but slightly higher over at Bank of Greene County. And it also feels better to me to not have so much money in the account that we use for operating. The accounts receivable is mostly due to the Kingstonian because of the payment terms that we agreed upon, but also, of course, any annual fees and CPA fees that aren't paid yet by any projects. There was a small amount due from the CRC at year end, and that's just like the bookkeeping things going back and forth of the CRC reimbursing the IDA for administrative fees and a small amount of postage, that kind of stuff. Accounts payable was on there. Again, that's going to be the CPA fees from year end. And this was all part of year end bookkeeping stuff that's still kind of hanging out and will get cleared up this month. Escrow, most of it is the Kingstonian for their stuff for Loki Brill. And the accrued expenses, again, that was stuff accrued for 12/31 for the financial statement purposes that we make the adjusting entries at year end. That's it for me.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the financials as presented? I do, from Dan Savona. Do I have a second, Faye?
Yes, second.
Anyone on the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. That brings us to the chair's report. Well, it's, you know what? It's been busy with a lot of discussion, whether it's housing or it's Enterprise Drive and what's going to happen there. And all I can tell people is whatever's going to happen there is better than what was going to happen there last year. You know, the county has a plan, I believe. I would hope that they're moving along with it and, you know, with an outlook towards the future. And I gotta believe if there indeed is some sort of pilot, if somebody comes to visit the IDA, whoever that may be, that board at that time, it's going to be something where it certainly won't be typical. But that, you know what, things change and you have to learn to change with them. And all it ends up doing is creating a better, more educated open-minded board. So I've had a lot of that. I wanted to say, and I appreciate last month I was reelected by my peers as chair of the board, which was really truly an honor. But I have to say I will not be, based on some, healthcare issues and a few other things, I will not be seeking reappointment to the board. And I shared that with Brian Cahill yesterday. And I just want you to know it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens in the county for nearly 14 years. I don't know. I guess that puts me in the top 99 percentile. If they can't find you, they can't fire you, right? I work with some very talented people on the board level, as well as the administrative and our professionals who, brought great perspective and the ability to have real good educated dialogue and come to some common ground and common belief, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I'm not one to take compliments. I don't believe in that. I believe working as a collective is a lot more important. I'm one of those people. The name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey. And it was an honor to finish my tenure as a board member by serving as chair. And, there's going to be changes. I understand there's a significant amount of people, I guess you would call it insanity, who want to jump in and be board members. It takes away a lot. And, you're in the middle of doing something and somebody runs up to you out in public and they, before they tell me to go F myself, please introduce yourself, kind of thing. But it's, it's again, when you're people who are kind of in charge of, there's no such thing as a pat on the back. It's usually just a kick in the ass. And that's okay, because if you're doing it for a pat on the back, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So I want to thank the board members. I want to thank, people like Brian Cahill and his group that vetted us and saw enough in us and the whole legislature to reappoint so many times. And, our attorney, Joe Scott, who is, I could tell you once or twice, has probably talked me off the ledge with things. And, of course, New Vision out there. I don't think we've ever had someone in economic development who actually came out with a vision. There's always room for dialogue there. But, thank you, Tim, for putting together your report. It's been kind of boring the last couple of years. Nothing exciting, But thank you to all of you. And that's my report. Thank you. And that would bring us to the CEO's report.
So our annual reporting is underway. We have had some disappointing amount of pushback from projects yet again. Last week I spoke with, just to run it by the governance committee and vice chair, that I sent out late fees in accordance with our policy. I did, of course, even give 10 days leeway as usual against the policy that we normally have, because things happen. We understand. I also understand that we've had the problem every year. We all understand that some people are having trouble with their fourth quarter NYS 45s coming back from their payroll company on time. So we did give a little bit of leeway. But in the meantime, we still had to issue 11 late fees I believe it was 11 late fees on the 10th. And yesterday we issued a few more additional late fees, because every so many days, another $250 will accrue. If if these people don't have their information in by the end of the month, it'll be $1,000 altogether, and so it'll be another $250. There's been pushback from the people, of course, getting late fees, but I've explained to them repeatedly, this has been the same thing every year. The only change we had this year was that the information was on Google Forms. And as you all know, since you all sat in on site visit meetings, I explained it to them all in person or over Zoom, as well as us sending out emails. We made phone calls for reminders and we emailed for reminders. Just God forbid there was some kind of an issue with anybody getting that annual reporting email. We wanted to be sure. So we'll go over that stuff, we'll go over the information that was reported with the audit committee, and then we'll go to the governance committee for any issues and any non-compliant projects. We had an additional pre-screen last week for one of our current projects that's looking to restructure. Their application should be before the board by next month. We made it clear that there were some additional things they had to do before their application would be considered. And I believe they've finished meeting all of the requirements. And so now once they should have their application and their fees submitted shortly, and it should be official. The open meetings law, I know a few of you were on edge waiting to see what was going to happen, but I can assure you so was I, because of dealing with where we were going to be, how we would be live streaming, etc. One of the great things about the new law was that the law didn't say that we couldn't be on Zoom, or, I'm going to say Zoom for ease here. We couldn't be on Zoom past a certain date. What it said was once the state of emergency ended. Of course, the state of emergency ended February 14th, and so that needed to be extended. So it's literally the same issue we were dealing with. We did not know until I saw finally after business hours on Monday that we were going to be allowed on Zoom for today. The good news is that the extension is through March 16th. Our next board meeting is March 16th, which means we are in the clear through March, and we won't have to do any last minute planning. And so we'll stay tuned, of course, and I'll keep you all posted on where we will be for April. ABO in Paris, there's a training from the ABO on Paris this Friday. I've never taken one, and I think I have a really good handle on the Paris reporting by now, but I don't think it hurts to sit down and see what the ABO has to say, learn any new tricks. And I also will have Emily from my office joining me on that training, as well, as she started helping with the Paris reporting last year too. Last month at the board meeting, it wasn't clear on the resolution extending the housing moratorium. So I just wanted to say for the record what we had put in the minutes and make sure that nobody had any issues. The resolution for the housing moratorium, it was that Mike had made the motion and then Danny had seconded it. And then you all obviously voted in favor of doing so. A quick thing, and then the last piece I'll need a vote on, but I know I said it, but there will not be a plaque large enough for Jimmy, no matter what he wants to hear or not hear from us, and even if he doesn't want the compliments, but for all of the work, yeah, he will send cash. For all of the work, the time, and the changes that were instituted. It is a very different board over the last couple of years, and it's been a pleasure to watch it change and morph into what it is now. So the last piece here, we have an invoice from Hodgson Russ that I need board approval for because it's over the $2,500, so it's more than the chair can approve. The full invoice would be $5,368. $2,090 of it is for the CRC. $3,278 of it is for the IDA. So I need a motion and board approval, please.
All right, so the motion is going to be reflective of the 3,278.
Yep, that's fine.
I need a motion to pay the IDA portion for that, Bill? Can I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion. I'll make a motion for the IDA to pay Boston Hutch.
I'll
Okay,
second.
a motion, do I have a second? Rick seconds it. Anything on the question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. That's it, Rose,
That's it.
for you.
Oh,
Committee
Diane, I'm
report.
sorry, did you have a question about my?
Yes, I do. Could you give us an update on where we are with getting an RFP out to some communication firms and
I
marketing
got,
firms?
yeah, oh, yeah, so further from what I've talked to you about, or to tell
Mhm.
the whole board what I talked to you about too? Is that, you mean all of the above?
Well, just where we are in the process, since
Okay.
it's something we've
So-
been talking about.
Okay, so I had reached out to 3 different marketing companies that the EDC had recommended. And I met with all of them on Zoom or on the phone, and I took notes on everything that they have to offer. I also got an RFP from the EDC, which I don't think was really comprehensive enough. So one of the vendors for marketing actually was able to, he sent me over just yesterday. I got some RFPs that he's responded to from other IDAs, just to give us more ideas of what we should put in it. And after this, I wanted to reconvene with the marketing group, which was Diane, Faye, and Orlando.
Great. Thanks, Rose.
No problem.
Okay, either Danny wants something or, no, I think he's okay.
He's Italian. He can't help it.
Well, listen, let's not label people. Okay,
Fair housing.
right, so audit.
Thank you, Chair. If you refer to page 15 in the meeting packet, you'll see the report from Low-Key Brill. The only project reported for the month of January was Innis, and you can see they were 100% compliant. Rose, I think it's an error though. It says 9 of 20
Right.
with 100%. So that's actually an error in their report.
Definitely is.
Yes, and I guess so that is all I
I
have.
would say, I can tell you from last month, there were 20 workers last month, so that 20 is the error.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
the
thank
line
you.
below that, that's probably more reflective. 0 of 9 were non-compliant, so.
Correct.
Yep.
correct. So
That's it?
I have one
Good.
question for Rose related to Low-Key Brill. We changed the contract because we had decided as a board, we wanted more insight into what was happening at projects and in their monthly reporting to us. So Rose, I know we went through that, but when will we start to see more detailed monthly reports from them?
Well, the only thing we were asking for in more detail, you mean about the OSHA stuff?
That, and I also think the subcontractors.
So the OSHA stuff, I had gone back and forth with Mike, and we were more clear about what we were looking for. They don't put, I'll talk to them about it. They don't put what they were looking for, like, they go to they don't go to RBW. They get insurance information, etc., from RBW, for example. And they were going to also ask them for the OSHA certificates, but that just got hammered out like during this past month, because they were trying to narrow down exactly what we were talking about. Mike knows more about the OSHA stuff than I do, but I believe there's like I want to say, Jimmy, you probably know too, it's like a 3-hour or a 7-hour course or something like that.
There's the basic one is OSHA 10, and honestly, it's something that anyone who's doing a project somewhere, this is the bare minimum requirements as far as health and safety. And I would urge the board moving forward to include that into their contractual documents. I mean, we do have some equity in these projects, and to not have oversight and make sure people are, have the bare minimum training for health and safety. I don't think anybody would want to fight us on that, but if they do, that's fine.
Yes,
But I think it's something that's necessary.
the
Yeah,
So, Rose,
10
when are we
hour
gonna
and the
start seeing that?
30-hour, and they weren't sure which one we were looking for specifically. So Mike and I had gone back and forth, and it wasn't a matter of 10 or 30. It's a matter of we want them to have one or the other. It doesn't matter. And we also wanted to make sure they were up to date.
I would suggest Mike, are you muted? Are you on? You're not on. A
Oh,
little
I'm
bit
on.
of dialogue here. I would suggest that 10 is a bare minimum to start with. We're not looking to be punitive with people,
Correct.
but we're certainly looking to protect both them and, the county, the IDA's position, I should say.
I agree with Jimmy with a basic 10-hour OSHA. I mean, it's just a matter of either the employer sitting people down in front of a computer screen for an 8-hour stand, 10-hour stand, or, them doing it at home and they can pay online to do it. So it's a matter of safety. And I agree 100% with Jimmy that we do have a stake in every one of these projects. And, one of the biggest thing we say in construction, you get up in the morning to come home in the afternoon. So, it can only apply across the board.
So,
Yeah, Danny.
So, you got, this is all new to me with OSHA and stuff, but it brings up a lot of valid points. So Joe, if since we are invested in some of these projects and someone isn't following OSHA protocol and someone gets hurt and there's a lawsuit, is the IDA, can the IDA be named in those lawsuits because someone's not following protocol with OSHA?
They certainly could be named. I don't think they'd be successful against us, but they could certainly name us. And under the documents, the company is supposed to defend us and indemnify us, and they have insurance for that purpose also.
But the thing is this, over the years, I've observed that people throw mud at the wall to see where it sticks.
Mhm.
And I know that's kind of a weird saying, but you know what? Everybody within eye level is going to get sued.
Well, liable, not named. Anybody can be named, but could be.
Yeah, but you know what? It's nothing. When that happens, it takes away time from what it is we're supposed to be doing. Okay, and we have to answer it, and you get up in arms, and it's just, for lack of a better term, it's a pain in the ass. For us, when we can control the narrative and put it in our contractual documents
Mhm.
that they have the bare minimum. And OSHA course, I don't know if you would say a company safety course, but something that meets bare minimum standard.
And then we're
Yeah,
covering
Rick.
ourselves regardless.
The
So
original
this is-
question
this is-
I heard from Diane was, when are we going to start seeing the reporting on this from Loki Brill?
And the
Right,
other
so-
part about that, because it's related, Rose, you just get it down on one answer, sorry to interrupt, is we also wanted to have more actual site visits instead of the way that the information's been reported back to
Right.
local borough.
Right, but the problem is the site visits aren't going to be increased going backwards, right? So
Right.
it will be going forward. So Innis is a project that's already been in place, so there won't be more than.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about
monthly
future, like
site
when we'll
visits.
start, when that
And
will
I-
actually start.
Yeah, and so we literally just finished hammering this out a week or so, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure. So I will talk to them about getting the report changed for February to show information on RBW for their OSHA compliance as well as Innis with the OSHA compliance stuff. And then if there was more stuff that you want specifically on the subcontractors, I can also make that clear, but we should see, and then we'll see more with the monthly site visits once we have other projects starting. But nobody started construction yet that they're dealing with.
I just had a question. Was this a resolution that we did to require the OSHA, or was this just something that was just added in?
That was in
We're
the-
talking about it now, right?
Labor policy, yeah.
The labor policy.
Yeah, we did all
It
that.
is part of the labor policy. There was something already in the labor policy about it. And so we were realizing it wasn't something that Loki Brill was staying on top of as much as we would have hoped.
Okay. All right.
Well, again, if you put it in the contractual documents as opposed to the labor policy, then they'll stay on top of it.
Yeah.
They're responsible bare minimum for that. So Diane, does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. And that ends my report, Chair.
That was a very good report. Thank you very much. Brings us to finance.
Chair, there was no finance meeting last month.
Boy, oh boy, Faye, we ain't making.
I
meetings.
do not get many meetings with that finance. I don't know.
This brings us to our weary traveler under governance, Mr. Ham.
Thank you, Jim. Our last governance meeting was on January 12th. There was a lot of activity there, which was reported in the January 16th meeting. Currently, we're still doing, gathering information together on the mentoring pamphlet. Because of time restraints at the last governance meeting, we had to table the housing discussion, the UTEP, and the matrix updates for the next governance meeting. As Rose talked about earlier, we'll be scheduling another governance meeting, I'm hoping before the end of the month. We have a small work group meeting to discuss some stuff on the housing policy. To hopefully we'll bring a full report back to the board in the March meeting. And Chair, that's my report.
That was another good report as well.
And Chair, one last thing outside my report, I would like to thank you for all your leadership here.
Now, listen, it's not too hard. You know, a wise old guy told me one time, he says, you'll know where you stand when they tell everybody to take one step forward, and you turn around and everybody took one step back. But we had a lot of kumbaya moments here. And again, I can't thank each and every board member enough, as well as, Rose especially, and Joe Scott for being a voice in the wilderness from time to time.
I tell everybody I've worked alongside Jimmy for 36, 37 years.
You're
Wow.
forgetting that little issue at my house 40 years ago.
And for you, even longer than that, Jim, that's correct. And I'll tell you what, it's never been really a work relationship. It's been a journey. So
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Can I get a motion to accept the governance report as presented, please? Rick?
Yeah.
So moved.
Thank you, Rick. Dr. D? Do I have a second? All
Second.
those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, carried. Thank you. Okay, this brings us into old business, status of pending projects. Rose?
Joe, I'm going to turn that over to you, please, sir.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Chair. No change essentially on the list, with the exception of Romeo Kia. We're making a lot of progress there. Thank you, Rose, for your comments on the documents. We expect to have redrafts out the next day or so, and we're still pushing to close in the month of February. So that project is proceeding. Moving down the list with respect to pending enforcement, I had promised some changes at the last meeting. There are changes there. We are moving along, knocking things off. You'll see that there are two that documents are out and hopefully closing very shortly. And then the third one, I've had 2 or 3 communications with the city assessor about that clawback bill. I expect to get information back from him shortly, and we'll either send a bill out or at his direction decide not to. I obviously will review that with Rose and with you all before I close that out, but we are making progress on finishing that list of items. Lastly, no one likes to hear lawyers talk in meetings. I just want to say, Chair, it was a pleasure working with you. I'm not going to tell people that my hair was brown when I first met Chairman Malcolm, and that he's the reason my hair is now gray, because that's not the case. It was a pleasure working with him because he made decisions, he had a vision, and frankly, he stuck by them. And I just appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Same feelings here. All right. Any questions on any of that? No? New business?
No new business this month, Chair.
Okay. So I'll seek a motion to adjourn. It's now 9:40. We'll say at 9:50, and we'll look to start the CRC in about 15 minutes, so 10:05. But can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that
moved.
motion.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? Okay, good. So let the record show the meeting adjourned at 9:50. And is 10:05 work for everybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you all again at 10:05, hopefully.